Hello, this is Mr. ASMR with Random Whisper number 18. This is a longer reading of the Canterbury Tales. Wanna April with the Shore Sot, the Drocht of Marsh had perset the rot, and bathed every vine in sweet liquor, of which virtue engendered is the flower. One Zephyrus ache with his sweet breath, and spirit hath in every holden heath. The tender croppers and the younger son hath an aram his habacores run, and smaller fowlers making melodea, that slepen al the nicht with open ear. So pricketh him that hoor in hier courages, that nongen folk to go on pilgrimages, and palmers for 2 seconds songe stondes, to ferne harwes, couth in sondre landes, and specially from every shearer's end of England to Canterbury they went, the holy blissful Martha for to sake, that him had holpen one that they were sick. Before that, in that seizoen on a day, in Southwark at the tabard as I lay, ready to wenden on my pilgrimage, to Canterbury with full devout courage, at nicht was come into that hostel well 29 in a company of sundry folk by aventure ye fall, in fellowship and pilgrims were they all, that toward Canterbury woulden ride. The chambers and the stables were in white, and well we weren as said at best, and shortly when that sun was to rest, so had I spoken with him a very John, that I was of her fellowship anon, and made forward early for to Rees, to take our way there as I out device. But natheless, while I have time and space, ere that if further in this dull place, methinketh it a cardant to reason, to tell you all the condition of him, so as it seemed me, and which they were in, and of what degree, and eke in what array they were they in, and at a nicht, then will I first begin. A nicht there was, and that a worthy man, that for the time that he first began, to riden out he loved chivalry, truth and honour, freedom and courtesy. Full weary was he in the Lotus where, and thereto had he ridden, no man fell, as well in Christendom as Athens, and ever honoured for his worthiness. At Alessandro he was, when it was won, full of time he had the ball begun. Above an all nations in Prusse, in the tower had he recit and in the Rus. No Christian man so oft of his degree, in Grenade at the sage eke had he be, of Algezire and ridden in Bain-Marie, at Liesse was he, and at Satalie, when they were one, and in the great sea, at many a noble avenue had he be, at mortal battles had he be 15, and foughten for our faith at Tramacine. In listes Trias, and I slain his foe. This eke worthy nicht had been also some time with the Lord of Palatry. Again another hidden in Turkey, and evermore he had a sovereign priest, and though that he were worthy, he was wise, and of his port as mech as is a maid. He never yet so valiant ni said, in all his life unto no manner wacht. He was a very parfait gentle nicht. But for to tellen you of his array, his horse were good, but he was not gay. A fustian he weared a gipon, al bismuted with his habergeon, for he was late he come from his voyage, and were it for to doom his pilgrimage. With him there was his son, a young squire, a lawyer and a lusty bachelor, with looks cruel as they were laid in press. Of 20 years of age he was, I guess. Of his stature he was of even length, and wonderly delivered, and great of strength. And he had been some time in Chivachier, in Flanders, in Artois, and Picardy, and borne him well, as of so little space, in hope to stand in his lady grace. And brooded was he, as it were a maid, all full of fresh flowers, wheat and red. Saint Jean's he was, all flottinge all the day. He was as fresh as is the month of May. Short was his gun with sleeves long and wide. Well could he sit on horse and fair ride. He could songs make, and well indeed. I used in the dance, and well poetry and read. So hot he loved that by interval he sleep no more than doth a nightingale. Courteous he was, lowly and serviceable, and carved before his feather at the table. A yeoman had he, and servants no more, at that time for him least read so. And he was clad in coat and hood of green, a sheaf of peacock hair was bright and keen. Under his belt he bare full thriftily. Well could he dress, his tackle yeomanly. His hair was drooped north with feathers low, and in his hand he bare a knightly bow. A knot heat had he with a brown visage, of woodcraft well crude he had the usage. Upon his arm he bare a gay bracer, and by his side a sword and a buckler, and on that other side a gay dagger, hamaced well and sharp as a point of spear. A Christopher on his breast of silver sheen, and horny bar the baldric was of green. A forester was he, soothly as I guess. There was also a nun, a Prioress, that of his smiling was full simple and coy. Her greatest oath was put by Saint Loy, and she was cleped Madame Eglantine, full well she sung the service divine, and tuned in her nose full simile, and French she spake full fair and fetisly. After the school of Stratford at Bar, for French of Paris was to hear and know. At met well he thought was she withal. She let no morsel from her lips fall, ne with her fingers in her sauce dip. Well could she carry a morsel, and well I kept, that no drop ne fill upon her breast. In courtesy was set full mosh, il relest. Her overlip weeped she so klein, that in her cup was no fading stain. Of grace when she drunken had her draught, full simile after her maid she hot, and sickly she was of great disport, and full pleasant and amiable of port, and pained here to contrefeit cher of court, and ben established of manner, and who ben holden dicht of reverence, but for to speaken of her conscience. She was so charitable and so piteous, she would weep if that she saw a mouse. God in a trap, if it were dead or bled. Of small hunters had she, that she fed, with roasted flesh or milk and wasted bread. But sore weep she if one of them were dead, or if men smote it with a cared smirth, and all was conscience and tender heart. Fulsomely her wimple pinched was, her nose straightish, her hair in grey as glass, her mouth full smile, and there too soft and red. But secretly she had a fair forehead. It was almost a span brood I drew, for hardly she was not undergrow. Full fetus was her cloak as I was wear, of small coral about her arm she bare, a pair of beads golded all with green, and thereon hang a brooch of gold full sheen, on which there was first a crowned A, and after amor vincit omnia, another known with his her hair had she, that was her chapelaine and priestess three. A monk there was, a fair for the mastery, an outrider that loved venery, a manly man to ben and abbot able. Food many a dainty others at Ian's table, and when he rode, men met his bridal hair, gingling in a whistling wind as clear, and eke as loud as doth the chapel bear, thereas this lord was keeper of the cell. I will stop there and maybe do another one if at least one person likes it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you guys for your support, your subscribership, and your comments. Have a good day, have a good night, have a good life. Talk to me. I'll talk to you soon.